So today I want to talk about Battlefield and Battlefield 6, but just mainly Battlefield in general. And I'm going to go on a bit of a rant here. It's just my opinion. I'm sure some people will agree and disagree, and that's perfectly fine. The first thing I want to touch on are modes. Why are there so many different modes? That is an excellent way to break up your playing community. And I'm just going to come out and say it right away. Battlefield to me is Conquest. Conquest is Battlefield. Now, there should be some other modes like Breakthrough, maybe some TDM, um, you know, 5 modes, maybe 6, I would say at the most. Let's keep the playing community together. I get not everybody's going to like Conquest, and I'm okay with that. It's my main thing because you can do anything you want. You could be a foot soldier on this giant open battlefield. You could fly a chopper, fly a jet, hop in a tank. You could do just about anything you want. It's in the name, Battlefield. Now, I've been hearing a lot of people complain about there's not enough content. I'm bored of the game already. And I think there's a couple of reasons for that. People were complaining that, oh, the maps are too big. Well, what has happened now is they've made smaller maps quite clearly on Battlefield 6 here, which also they've had to lower the timers because it's smaller maps. So now on average, you're dealing with about a 20-minute match, whereas before you go back to older Battlefield games, Battlefield 5, even 2042, Battlefield 1, Battlefield 4, you get the point. On average, they were about 45 minutes, maybe a little less, and maybe even longer, sometimes an hour or more. I remember playing Battlefield 1, great game. And you get on these operations, and next thing you know, hour and a half goes by because you're just following the storyline, gaming away. So I also find that is just a silly excuse. The maps are too big. We'll grab a vehicle of some kind and drive to the objective. Drive to where you want to go, head over there. To me, it's just a silly excuse. But you're getting through 3 maps now in about an hour. Because if they're 20 minutes long, there's 3 maps. This Battlefield currently has, I think, about 11 maps. I might be off by 1. So yeah, you're getting through the content a lot quicker. I mean, do the math. In about 3 hours, you're almost through it. Especially if you end up in one of those matches where you're on the team or you're the team being dominated and the match is over within, 10, 15 minutes. You're just flying through it. So we definitely need bigger maps. We definitely need longer timers. That'll help 100% with that. And part of that, too, is also bad spawns. Now, I'm not going to defend it, so don't misunderstand where I'm going here. But there's times where you try to spawn on a tank, spawn on a teammate, and you're just dead instantly. You spawned in and you died. Well, Battlefield, you just need to fix that. That's awful. But there's also people getting frustrated that they're just dying all the time. Well, that's part of it, because there's no time to really think anymore. You can't really be too strategic when you hop in and you're just right away in a gunfight. It's almost like Call of Duty, where it's like you run 20 feet, you shoot your gun, and you're dead. And now it's just spawn, die, repeat. So the bigger maps would absolutely help with that. It would help with the spawns. Once again, I'm not defending those terrible spawns because it's happened to me too, where it's like I spawn on my teammate, boom, I'm dead. I spawn in a tank, boom, I'm dead. So yeah, that needs to be fixed. Another thing too is weather dynamics. Where's the weather dynamics? Where's where the map changes? Oh man, do you remember on like Battlefield 1 where you'd have a behemoth come in? It would kind of change the whole battlefield. Or Battlefield 4, you could flood the map. You could bring down a giant skyscraper, and an objective or 2 objectives would completely change. Where'd that go? I'm glad that they brought back destruction. That's a big plus. It should have never left in the first place. But where's the weather dynamics? Where's being able to alter the map, alter the battlefield, and be able to change it up sometime? And now, Objective C is completely different from what it was before when the skyscraper was still standing, to give an example. Yeah, I really wish Battlefield you'd bring back some of the weather dynamics and map changes. Also, server browsers. Why don't we have server browsers? I don't understand it whatsoever. It seems like they took pity on us, and it's like, okay, well, you can stay with 2 or 3 of your squad mates, but if you find an entire team or platoon that you want to play with, no, we're going to reset it. You're going to have to now go into another lobby, and since there's not as many players, now you're going to have to sit here for 5 minutes and wait until we decide to fill it with bots. Bring back server browsers. That will also help with the community. This way, then, keeping the community together. You're going to find like-minded people that, you find a platoon where everybody's doing what they're supposed to. Why in the hell would I want to go into a different lobby after that? It doesn't make any sense. It's ridiculous and absurd. And I've heard some excuse of, well, sometimes you're stuck with toxic people, and we want to make sure that, you get a nice change up in your experience. No, that's ridiculous. That's why there's a mute button. Somebody saying something you don't like, mute them. You can block them, or better yet, you can quit and leave that lobby altogether and go find yourself a new one. It's the dumbest excuse or reason that I have ever heard why they don't do the server browsers anymore. Oh yeah, we also want to mix it up. Well, if I'm on a losing team, and even though I'm stuck in the same server, if it keeps happening, well, I'm going to get the hint and end up leaving. Then it's going to bring in more people, and maybe matchmaking will bring in better people, and it'll balance itself out. I understand things aren't perfect, and sometimes you're going to get in a match that's just awful. But I think constant servers would help, and especially server browsers. That would be fantastic. And it touches on what I just said about keeping the community together, keeping like-minded people together that want to play the game. And that's why I'm going to hop right into closed classes. Get rid of this open class bullshit. Once again, it helps people focus on teamwork, because now everybody can't just use whatever gun they want, because now you're not going to have people run around with RPGs and they can use whatever gun they want. Are there not enough explosives when I'm driving a tank or flying a helicopter, or I'm constantly getting locked on an RPG, or there's landmines, or there's C4, or there's tow missiles? I mean, I come in with a tank on an objective and I get 5 rockets at me all of a sudden. There goes my tank. Well, that was completely worthless. Keeping the closed classes would also help keeping people focused on teamwork. Because now if somebody wants an LMG, well, they're going to be a medic. Somebody wants to be using an SMG, they're going to be an engineer. And I love recon. I suck at sniping myself, but I love people that provide Overwatch for me, for my team, for my squad. It would just help so much with teamwork. It would help so much with the game in general. The game isn't meant for everybody. No video game's meant for anybody. That's why we have different genres. That's why there's different categories. Some people like Dark Souls. Some people like first-person, third-person shooters. Some people like sports games. Stop trying to make a game for everybody. Focus on your core audience. Your core audience is your bread and butter. Us old-timers, us guys that have been playing video games since before there was dial-up. Back when you got on like the Delta Force on your PC, I remember those days, or Black Hawk Down, and I had to, dial up internet. Focus on the core audience, because our kids, our grandkids, our nieces, our nephews, they're the ones that saw us playing these games. They're the ones that got inspired, that wanted to play with us as they got older, went out, got their own systems. They're going to have kids. And now you're creating this environment where a lot of us, older guys, core audience guys, are just like, yeah, this game is not what it used to be. And then they go into uniforms. We don't need bright colored uniforms. We don't want bright colored uniforms. If I'm on a forest, I want a green uniform, blend in. If I'm in the desert, I want a brown uniform. If I'm in the snow, I want a white one. Stop making these colorful uniforms. It's ridiculous and absurd. And the SMGs, of course, I'm going to touch on that real quick. These SMGs seem like marksman rifles. I should not be getting lasered by a SMG 300 meters away. Just pulls the trigger and I'm dead with no like real recoil, no spread. What in the hell is that, Battlefield? Can we please fix that? That should have been addressed months ago. And now we're what? Coming up on 5 months, soon to be 6 months of this game being out, and these SMGs are like laser beams? What's please fix that. And there's a few other things, but I just those are the main things I wanted to focus on. It just kind of frustrates me, makes me sad that it's like this game that I loved for so many years. I'm glad that they got it on the right track with this one and compared to 2042. 2042 was so terrible, it really wasn't that hard to make this game look good. But now, as I said with all these other things, the game's dying. And those are just a handful of the reasons. To me, there's some of the main reasons why this game is dying. And Battlefield, I just hope that maybe you listen to your core audience for once and maybe keep on improving and focus on those things that I said, along with some other ones. Time to kill. There's some other things. To me, those are a bit more minor than these big ones. Anyways, I just wanted to get a lot of that off my chest. I'm Tripod Lives, and I'll see you on the battlefield. This is the pod out.